Hi everyone, welcome to Northern Community House podcast series focusing on Filipino families and community. Northern Community House, niche for short, is committed to building strong, vibrant communities, serving over 20,000 residents in Northwest Toronto every year. We help transform lives by working with people, understanding their needs, and supporting them in achieving their goals. We are supporting youths, parents, and seniors in becoming active, engaged citizens and creating opportunities for residents to improve their lives and lead positive change in their neighborhoods. So for today's episode, we have Ramel Asuncion, which is one of our school settlement workers. Ramel, do you mind telling us a little bit what you do?
Yeah, I'm a school settlement worker. Most of the time I'm in school, talking to newcomer students, coming up with programs as well, working with the ESL teacher, the guidance counselor, the principals on some cases probably that they need help with, adjustment issues in school, absenteeism. Yeah, we do programs as well together with the youth workers, niche, and other organizations like Access Alliance, those kind of things. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for sharing. So I have a few questions for you here today. So my first question is, in your position as a school settlement worker, what are some examples of peer pressure situations that your students have shared with you?
Marami. Right from the start na pumasok sila sa school, paraan ng pagsasalita ng Ingles. Hindi yan yung talagang typical na peer pressure, but you have to adjust. Kasi yung feeling na para akong tanga, parang ganon. Yung pressure ng to level up with yung peers or mga kaibigan nila na matatas na magsalita ng Ingles. Siyempre, tahimik ka pala kasi ayaw mo magkamali. Pressure na halimbawa yung suot mong damit. Kalimitan ng mga Filipino kapag tumagal na dito, branded yung mga damit nila. From shoes to pants to jacket, normal na yung Canada Goose. Para hindi naman sila ituring na iba. Mabilis na silang ma-identify na bagong dating. Pero gusto nila makakonect, makapag-adjust na pareho sila, magka-level sila.
Can I
Medyo
ask?
mahirap.
Ano ba yung stigma ng bagong dating or what are the stereotypes and bakit ayaw nila ma-associate with that label?
Pag bagong dating, marami ka pang hindi alam. In terms of experience, in terms of yung pananaw, in terms of sa schooling, sa lahat. Ang alam mo lang, lahat ng experience mo connected sa Philippines. Pero iniwan mo yan, nandito kayo sa Canada. Anong experience mo sa Canada? Paano nga ba? Kasi ilang araw ka pa lang or ilang linggo ka pa lang. Or kahit isang taon ka na dito sa Canada, nakapunta ka na ba dito? Nakapunta ka na dyan? Alam mo, na-experience mo na to. Limited pa rin. Kasi importante dun sa mga high school, yung peers, to build yung support group, yung katropa, kabarkada, so that they will not feel alienated. Mahirap kasi, very uncomfortable na palagi kang nasi-single out or sa klase, matatawag ng teacher and then makakapag-force na magsalita ng English. Nakakahiya kapag babalik-balik pa yung English mo. Kasi yung mga Filipino mismo, sila yung pinaka-critical sa pagsasalita ng English, lalo na yung accent. Yung bias against ESL, yung sinasabi nilang hidwaan ng mga FOBs and yung mga Canadian-born, yung mga pinanganak dito or lumaki dito, they don't wanna be associated with newcomers. Tapos yung mga newcomers naman, mas komportable silang ma-associate with yung mga kapwa nila, newcomers. Kalimitan, lalo na yung mga bagong dating, they feel comfortable kasi yun yung number one to be comfortable with a group. So, nagde-develop din sila ng clique. Yung dynamic ng ganon. Tapos, yun nga, halimbawa katulad niyan, may experience ako, nagsabi sa akin yung bata, Kuya, nakakailang yung mainstream academic na English kasi makapagsalita ka lang ng ganyan sa presentation, pinagtatawanan ka kasi kahit walang katawa-tawa dahil sa accent, nakakapanghina ng loob.
I guess question about, di ba sabi mo, mahilig sila sa branded things. Do you think nape-pressure din yung parents to provide for that? Knowing na very limited din yung source of income nila. Like, how do they negotiate that? How do they reconcile that with their kids?
Malaking pressure talaga sa magulang. Kasi kalimitan naman ng mga bagong dating, hindi naman matataas yung, matataas yung sweldo ng mga nanay nila. From caregiver, nag-upgrade PSW or yung iba nag-nurse, pero they have an entire family depending on them. Aside from yung nabaon sa utang sa credit card kasi umuwi sa Pilipinas, kinuha yung mga plane tickets, bukod pa yung mga binubuhay mo sa Pilipinas, pinag-aaral mo sa Pilipinas. So, patong-patong na yan. And ganito kasi let's put it in a context ng Filipino na migrant. Hiwalay yung nanay or yung tatay, and the only way para ma-express mo yung presence mo, yung love mo, is to give them yung material na bagay na napakahalaga. Hindi naman mumurahin yung mga gamit ngayon. Kalimitan branded, yun yung mga stable, yun yung... So, ganun din in terms of shoes, in terms of pants, the clothes, sa cellphone, sa laptop, nakikarry over pagdating dito sa Canada. Kasi long distance, yun lang yung isa sa few ways to express your love. Pero, pag dito na, magkasama na kayo, nakagawian na ng bawat isa expression of love, di ba? So, ganun yun. And hindi naman basta automatic mababago na yun kasi magkakasama na kayo.
Yeah.
Yung nakagis na nung bata sa paglaki, na expression ng love ng magulang, ganun pa rin. At hindi lang naman burden sa magulang yan. To fit in, ang mangyayari dun sa mga bata, yung mga 15 or 14 years old pataas, na legal na mag-work sa Canada, ang nangyayari is they are really trying their best to work right away within the 6 months of coming here in Canada. And ako nga, nag-worry doon. Wina-warningan ko yung mga parents doon kasi wala pa, nag-a-adjust pa lang sila and they don't really understand yung routine, yung balance ng work at saka yung school. And it's really important to establish that first. And ang sabi ko sa mga parents kapag nag-orientation session ako, ibibigay ng school for the first semester ng bata yung mga madadaling subjects muna kasi alam nila na kailangan ng bata mag-adjust. Pero after a couple of months, ang habol ng mga bata is magtrabaho na kasi madali lang pala mag-aral dito sa Canada. Madali ang grade 9, madali ang grade 10.
Of
Pero
course.
pagka grade 11 at mainstream na yan,
You have
academic,
to pick your career path.
oo. At ang nakakalungkot, nagtatrabaho na sila, saka sila lilipat ng mainstream hanggang sa mas stricto, mas demanding yung manager nila sa work. Merong mga demand siya na, ay pumasok ka kasi hindi pumasok yung isang dapat pumasok. Hindi sila basta makakahindi. At part of it, gusto nila kasi may additional pay. Ang problema, ang nagsasacrifice yung time to do their assignments, to study, to prepare for report, prepare for exam. Hanggang sa may mga kilala akong mga bata na hindi nakatapos ng high school. Kailangan nilang mag-adult school or to move somewhere else.
So, you said kanina na, of course, may pressure na magtrabaho kasi they want to buy their material things. Pero, of course, meron din naman pressure coming from the parents.
Yes.
Kasi pagdating nila, dito na, reality is dumoble yung gastos kasi kailangan ng, instead of for one person, meron ng 4 people na kailangan kumain. So, napapressure din yung students kasi kailangan nila magtrabaho to help with the house at saka to pay for some of the bills. So, what's your input on this?
Tama. Kahit hindi magbanggit yung magulang na, anak, kailangan ko ng tulong mo to work. These children, this youth, nasa-sense nila na kapos ang budget.
Oo, sobra.
Nararamdaman, hindi na kailangan kalimitan, hindi naman kailangan na obvious na pagsabi ng nanay. Tumutulong sila. And normally, yan talaga yung number 1 na reason kung bakit sila nag-work. Hindi naman talaga pinipilit sila ng nanay nila. So, ang nangyayari is, suspended na yung kanilang dreams of getting back to college or back to school. Ang nangyayari is lahat nagtatrabaho, although gusto ko rin kung makatulong kahit grade 11 ako. Syempre, siya lang yung hindi nagtatrabaho. Lahat ng mga kapatid niya at yung pamilya nagtatrabaho, syempre yung pressure ng, kahit walang na-pressure sa'yo, pero yung pressure na maisip mo na ikaw na lang yung dependent. Tapos $5 lang yung baon mo. Let's be real, hindi naman talaga kaya ng $5 lang yung
Baon sa school.
baon sa school.
Kasi may pamasahe pa din kailangan i-worry about din. Tapos, if you think about it, di ba may mga school field trips?
Tama.
Nakakahiya naman, pahingi naman ng pang-field trip or minsan you have to ask, oh ate, pwede pahingi naman ng pang-field trip. Of course, wala din naman sa budget, but you have to get involved kasi it's a school, it's part of the school curriculum.
Or nakakahiya na hindi sumama kasi tatanungin ng classmates mo, bakit di ka sasama? Bakit ikaw lang yung may iwan sa school, right? They don't wanna say it either.
Yung pressure na mapapag-iwanan ka ng mga kaibigan mo na ikaw lang yung hindi kasama. And ito yung be mindful. Itong mga batang to, traumatic yung mga experience sila pagdating sa iwanan. Kasi matagal na silang iniwanan, ilang beses na silang iniwanan. Dati, yearly, ngayon, pang matagalang iwanan. Ngayon, pati ba naman sa field trip may iwanan sila. So makikita mo where they're coming from, di ba? Palaging yung experience ng mga youth, tingnan mo dun sa kanilang sitwasyon, sa paglaki nila, sa pag-adjust nila sa bahay, sa Canada. Kasi makikita mo yung dahilan kung bakit, and maunawaan mo, maintindihan mo sila kung bakit ganon kalakas yung epekto ng pressure.
Yeah, because if you think about it, also it's the sense of belonging. So if one day they go to a field trip and you're by yourself at home or you're at school, you're just like, but I'm alone. So what am I supposed to do? They get jealous or insecure.
Especially with Filipinos, I think very collective yung mindset where it's not individualistic at all, which is what Canadian society is, I think, for the most part. But with Filipinos, it's very, yun nga, collective and I want to be a part of it. I want to belong.
Tama. Kasi makikita mo sa Pilipinas, ang dami ng social networks nila. Iniwanan nila yon. And they're starting with a new set of friends and new social network. Tapos, hindi sila kasama, maiiwan na naman. Malakas yung impact nun sa mga bata na kaka-establish pa lang, di ba?
Do you think it's always negative or meron ding positive sides of peer pressure?
Malaki yung side ng positive din.
Can you give examples? Para alam naman ng mga parents na hindi lang, they just don't make trouble when they're out with their friends.
Yung peer support, yan. And of course, critical din kapag ka pumili ka ng reliable na mga kaibigan na barkada mo na may positive. It all depends on the person na pipili siya. Pwede naman siyang pumili ng mga magagaling ng kaibigan. Kahit normal na mga estudyante, mababait na estudyante, ng mga kaibigan niya. Kasi this group of people, ito yung matatakbuhan mo kapag ka in panic mode ka na. Naubusan ka ng, alam mo yon, naubusan ka ng pangbayad sa TTC o tawag dito, wala kang makain, nakalimutan yung baon, or yung support group yan to point na pwede silang mag-inspire sa you to go on, to finish, what course to take. And it's a blessing kung yung barkada mo ng high school magiging classmate mo in college and friend for life. Yung palang kayamanan na yon. Not a lot of youth, not a lot of people have that. So, yung pressure to do, yung paggising ng maaga for not to be late, yun or yung pag-aaral sa napakahirap na, halimbawa yung mainstream English, mainstream math, mainstream science, academic, or university. Grade 12. Ang hirap mag-aral niya ng solo. You need your friends.
Study groups.
Study groups. Ang importante is nagmo-motivate sa'yo positively. Kahit down ka, may pipick up sa'yo. Importante yun. Yun yung support group mo. Napaka-meaningful din.
Okay, so thank you so much for coming on today's episode and speaking with us. We are very opinionated people.
Hindi. Maganda.
Yeah, so like I said, when we talk about a lot of issues with youth or even just parents, it does bring up a lot of emotions and lots of opinions. So thank you so much for being here today. Would you like to share a little bit of your information, where people can come contact you, what schools you usually visit in case they want to come reach out to you?
Yeah, you can contact any person in Niche. And if you want to contact me, my cell phone number is 647-296-0937. Thank you for inviting me. Hope may nakapulutan yung mga magulang natin or yung mga anak natin dyan na nag-a-adjust pa rin. Alam mo, it's a journey sa Canada. Kahit yung relationship nyo with your parents.
For comments and suggestions about this podcast, please go to our website, www.niche.ca. Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoyed today's episode. Mom, let's talk. See you on our next episode.